All right. Well, it's 2 o'clock straight up, and in order to uh, in order to make sure that we are cognizant of everyone's time, we'll go on and get started. Um, Welcome to the Coalition's newest program introduction. This is Campus Travel Management. Uh, Good afternoon. My name's Lyon Cruz. I'm the president of the Coalition for College Cost Savings, or simply the Coalition. And it's my pleasure today to welcome you to this webinar, introduction of our newest program, again, Campus Travel Management. Before we begin, let me go through a couple of housekeeping notes. During the presentation today, since we do have an intimate group here, please, if you have questions, just unmute your mic and ask the question. If you are a little on the shy side and would like to use the chat box, please feel free to do that. We'll monitor the chat box, and during the presentation, when appropriate, we'll bring your question up and ask Larry the question, or we'll save it to the end and ask all of them at the end. If you can't stay for the entire presentation, a recording will be made available on the Coalition's YouTube channel, and we'd love for you to make sure that you check that out. That's all the housekeeping notes. So now to introduce Campus Travel Management. The Coalition has a couple of programs that we call no-brainers. Those are Paymerang and Managed Care Advisory Group. I'm not going to go into why they're no-brainers, but if you'd like to know more about them, please check out our website, or just give Anita Girelli or myself a call or send us an email. But those are two no-brainer programs. And when I say no-brainer, I mean all schools ought to use them, no matter the size of the school, the characteristics of the school, the location of the school. They're just no-brainers. And every school in the Coalition ought to be using those two programs at the very least. Well, today we're going to add a third no-brainer program. In Campus Travel Management, they are a program that all schools should use because it's a new revenue flow for your school. Now, as a former vice president and vice president of finance at two colleges, two nonprofit private colleges, I know that your budgets are tight. I know it's hard to cut expenses, and it's even harder for you to find new revenues. So when you can find free money, it's like that pot at the end of the rainbow. So that's what you get with Campus Travel Management. So you're probably thinking, yeah, right, there's really no free money, and that's really what I thought too. So for the past couple of years, the Coalition has vetted Campus Travel Management. We've looked at them. We've even visited their offices to make sure that what they say is true, that Campus Travel Management is the real deal. We wouldn't be bringing them to you if we weren't very confident in the claims that they make and their operations. So with that said, allow me to introduce someone that has forgotten more about the travel industry than I will ever know. Larry Handel is the president of Campus Travel Management. Larry has worn many hats in the travel industry, and we are very fortunate to have Larry and his company as our newest vendor partner. So Larry, I'll hand the mic over to you.
Thanks, Lyon. I want to also introduce Tom Kraus. I'm seeing him on the upper left of my picture thing. Tom is the operations VP, and without Tom, there is no CTM. I mean, he's what makes it all go. My name is Larry Handel. I'm going to read a little bit to start, and then I'm going to jump over to the pictures. And I am president of Campus Travel Management. I'm here today to talk about travel, but in particular, one aspect of travel, local hotels, because it's a commodity that impacts every one of your campuses every day in a multitude of ways. My goal is threefold. First, to share with you my belief that travel is as much a vehicle for revenue as food courts are for fast foods and bookstores are for book and logo merchandise. Second, to explain why it's taken so long for the message to get through. And third, to show you the one thing we have added that makes all good things come true. Because the idea is to affect change, but with very little having to change on your campus. Specifically, in the next half hour, I'll do my best to show you how at zero cost, I'll say it twice, You can receive money that you should have been receiving all along, but you haven't because, well, frankly, you just didn't know it existed. The technology we use to accomplish this change is called the GDS, the Travel Industry Bible. It's Global Distribution System. There are three that are mostly the same that everybody uses: Sabre, Travelport, and Amadeus. The one we use is Amadeus. The irony is that your hotels and travel agencies, the ones you already use and that may already be on your website, use exactly the same technology that we do, except you don't get the revenue because it's geared to expense, and that's the difference. We tweak it so that it now gets used for revenue purposes. So the next question is, how did this all happen? And then I'll jump to the slides and go from there. How travel slipped through the cracks only makes sense when you've written as many RFPs as I have for travel agencies and for hotel contracts. And you can speak to your purchasing people. They'll tell you that pretty much the first clause is always scope of travel. Scope of travel has to do with what the university pays for. The university pays for the room. It's an expense. It's a budget item. And so as a consequence, Scott, you can interrupt anytime if I get this wrong. It's a budget item. And so what you need to do, if it's paid with a credit card, a corporate card, you need to have it reconciled. You may use Concur. You need compliance because you need target volume hit. And you want, of course, the lowest cost, which is a net rate, usually, okay? But that's travel, local hotels as an expense item. The problem is that a contract like that also has blackout dates. And the reason for blackout dates is because they don't want to give low rates to people if they're coming during high volume periods. But ironically, to the hotel, high volume periods are the most important part because that's when they make their money. That's when the volume is the greatest, when the shortage becomes apparent quickly, and where prices sometimes start creeping up. After the first batch of rooms are gone, it just, availability sets the prices and they go higher and higher. Well, in the case of a local hotel, it makes sense to treat it as a budget item if you're paying for the room. And if at one point you need help in that area, we can help you there. But that's not this particular program. This particular program is where you're not paying for the room, but rather where you're paying for the event that generates the motivation for the room. And that distinction may sound like you're cutting hairs, but you're not. It's very significant because if you're not paying for the room, you have no stake in the price. I mean, I can tell you stories of people who called me from some schools where commencement, the price was lower than they expected. And their first reaction is, why the bargain? And their second reaction was, what's wrong with the hotel? There's a whole story involving NYU that I will share another time. But trust me, lowest price is wonderful, but it's not always what parents care about. What they care about for a trip that is more of a rite of passage than it is an actual vacation is that they get the hotel they want and celebrate with the people they care about and have the service that is going to create the memory that they'll never forget. That's what matters. If the price is $183 versus $168, I've never heard anybody complain. I've heard when they complain it's double or triple, and then we have other ways of getting around that, but not about this. So what do you do when the travel is not something you're paying for, but rather you are motivating? In the travel industry, there's a term for it. It's called destination marketing. And there's actually a whole industry of people built around getting people to travel to various destinations, and they come up with a million reasons for people to do so, and you don't have to come up with anything. because it's built into your academic calendar. Commencement is part of the calendar. It's part of who you are. Orientation is part of who you are. Move-in, it's part of what makes possible kids getting into dorms. People need hotels. And if you add up all the reasons why people need hotels, you'll begin to realize why this is such a sacred cow when it comes to hotels. So here, you're not talking about a corporate program where you're concerned about compliance and about credit card reconciliation and all that. First off, it's not your card. It's not your money. It's not your budget. And you have absolutely no control over what people spend because it's their money. You don't even know who these people are. Who is a prospective student? The trick is not so much the name list, because you don't have that. Nobody has that. The trick is access to these people when the announcement is being made that a date has been set aside for this or that event. And we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. So how did it slip through the cracks? Simple. People think of travel as a component of purchasing, but never thought about the travel that occurs when the school is not paying for it, when the school is paying for the reason, but not the trip itself. Whole different ballgame. So why is a check coming your way? Well, it's simple, because each year thousands of students are coming to your campus, athletic fans, alumni, for events that you're paying for. And what we say is, if your campus is funding the event and your event is the reason for the trip, why isn't your campus getting the benefits? And that's a really, to me, legitimate question. We just had a hotel at Tulane that said they'd like to be in our program, but they have to withhold this. This happened 20 minutes ago, by the way. And they said, but they can't pay commission. And then they listed about 10 different rates that were corporate rates. And I said to Giovanni, forget it. That's not the program. Have them go to purchasing. If they want to do that, that's a purchasing program. This is not that. This is a revenue program. CTM provides the proof you need to get the money you deserve. If there's one slide here, what is it, slide 4-3? This is the one to keep, because this is the one that's the key to the whole program. The reservations technology is Amadeus. The GDS is the generic term for the three systems that do the same thing, right? That document the transaction. What we do by using the GDS appropriately is we include a field, and I'm simplifying this. This is like lay language for people like me, actually, as opposed to technicians. Tom is the more technical person. But for my purposes, what we do to establish your ownership of a transaction is we include in the embedded codes, because it's all about embedded codes, right? One that identifies your school as the one that generated the booking. There's another code that generates that tells you what hotel it is, because it might be a Holiday Express, and there may be 5 of them. So you have to distinguish between the one on Madison Street and one on Union Street and one on Main Street. And each one has a code. There are lots of different rates. Each one has a code. Well, you have a code as well. And so if we have Spelman and Oglethorpe that are both in the program, we want to be able to tell which one generated which booking so that the right school gets the right commission. The technology that we bring to bear accomplishes all that. And with it, you not only get verification of the booking, but you get reporting and a database that emanates from that, which allows for spreadsheets and canned reports and free 24/7 access so you can see how the production is going, and a built-in commission, which I'll talk about in a few minutes. But when you're talking about a non-corporate rate, meaning a leisure rate, a rate that's used for destination marketing, a rate paid by people, not by corporate entities. A common abbreviation is BAR, best available rate. And a BAR rate can be with a percentage off or it's not. But it has a percentage that's built into it. Well, I'll show you in a few minutes something that may surprise you. But all of this is identified through the use of the technology, which is the Amadeus GDS technology that we bring to bear. We're concerned with revenue, but we're also concerned with brand. This is a big deal because what we're trying to do is accomplish a few things with the same technology. Somebody, while we were waiting for everybody to come aboard, I got a phone call. I forgot to turn my phone off, and I got a call from Tufts. Somebody was having a problem with a car rental. Well, they call us because we're the ones that are easiest to find. And what I did was I resent them to the right person on campus. People get real people on the phone. It might be me, it might be Peggy, it might be Giovanni, it might be any of our staff. But we take it very seriously because not only do we care about you getting money out of this deal, we need to protect your brand. And that comes a lot of different ways. When COVID occurred, there was a problem because hotels went out of business, or they surrendered their hotel rooms occupancy to medical workers or to people who, so bulk allotments took over. And it was hard to know which hotels still were taking regular visitors. That is still the case, by the way. We've had a situation at Holy Cross that got us into a little bit of trouble with their general manager because 2/3 of the hotel is now being occupied in a group thing with medical workers and others. And they've stopped taking visitors, but they want to keep the hotel open and rather overbook. And we're there to protect the university. So we made a note on it that got them a little bit upset because our job is for your parents and families not to get bounced because of overbooking and then have to deal with the consequences of no hotel space and a high volume period. So what we care about is that this one special trip, whether it be for graduation or commencement, is not ruined because of something unanticipated, even if it's not anybody's fault. Is the money real? Well, what I'm showing you right now is a spreadsheet that is my internal spreadsheet. And the reason that it stops at September 2023 is because we haven't yet paid out. But this is the money that we have sent out since we started the program. It's over $2 million for real. I'll show you in a minute how one school can make an awful lot. But one school has. They've made over $400,000. Tulane has. That's not a secret. It's there. And they do. And there's a reason why. It's not a secret. It's not because they have 50,000 students. They've only got 10,000. But they use their website correctly, and they link intuitively, and they have followed the rules. Campus Services, not purchasing, was the department we work with, and they absolutely nailed it, right? Is the money real? Oh, yeah. This September, the third quarter ends, and the first week in October, Tom will tell me the numbers, and I'll write the checks, and my guess it will be close to 200,000 that is going out. That's the most we've ever sent, and it's amazing. Partially, it's because a few hotels have been making up some back commission where the site has become so valuable that we're able to collect commissions they held back on 2 years ago. So helping us helps you as well. How much can you make? Well, here's the formula. And there's, again, no secret. I've tried to be conservative with this. Let's just assume 1,000 visitors, all right? If you have an average of 2 nights stay, that's 2,000 nights. Stop me if I get this wrong. I've tried. And an average of $100 per night, which during commencement is pretty conservative, but why not? 200,000. If you take an average of 8% commission tends to range from 7 to 10%, 7% for Hilton and Marriott, 8% sometimes, 10% for the others. Varies by chain. We take what whatever they pay the travel agent. We take that money. 80% of it goes back to you. So at 8% commission, 80%, it's $16,000. And 80. Let me see. Oh, an average of 8% commission is 16,000. Sorry, And so 80% of that goes to you. So that would make a yearly 12,000 on 1,000 visitors, you'd make $12,800. And you can see with the volume, it can get pretty high, right? So you have every motivation to outreach the campus, because the more departments that use that same list, the more money you make. And by the way, the greater value your campus becomes for the hotels that are paying to be in the program. What's the catch? Well, that's what Lian was saying before. There is a catch, but it's not the one you think. There really is revenue. It's exactly what I said. There really is no cost. There's no risk. There's no staff workload. We do all that for you. It's outsourced. You control it, but we do the heavy lifting. And there really is reporting and free customer service. All of that is true. So that's not the catch. The catch is you've got to work with us. If you bury the link and people can't find it, no one's going to book. If you don't list it, people can't find it, then they won't book. If it takes 5 clicks, like at Harvard, to give you an idea, if you go to the visitor page, you won't find us. But if you go to the finance page, the one that sometimes requires a login, that's where we are, under the travel portal. Now, Harvard has enough business, so much business, that it doesn't matter. They still will get 50,000 room nights, but not every school has that kind of volume. And if you link it, it's got to be linked intuitively. If you put hotels under maps, then you've got to think that the traveler is going to look for a map that has a hotel. These are the kinds of things that drive us crazy, because we rarely can convince the IT people that this kind of thing matters. It does. All you need to do is 3 things. On the home page, put visit. It's not that big a deal. You have it already. It might be there as visit, or it might be under about, or it might be under admissions, but it's usually there. The more prominent you make it, the better it is. And then on the visit page, include, along with parking, maps and directions, hotels, where to stay. How much money do you make on parking? How much money do you make on maps? You make the money on the hotels. If you leave it out or assume that people will find it because they understand that a hotel is under maps, then you're going to find that people don't go there. It's like going to the grocery store and saying, where are the oranges? Simple, it's under milk. Well, no, no, they're both edibles, but it's not the same, and it's not intuitive. Places to stay should be on the event announcement. When you announce the date of an event, it should be included, places to stay, along with what to wear, what to bring, what time to arrive, all that kind of stuff. If you bury it or you don't link it, that's it. The sale is gone, the money is gone. So that's the catch. You got to work with us, and we'll help you. We'll show you where you're doing it right. We'll show you where you're doing it wrong. We have no stake in it. We're not out to try to control anything. All we want is for you to maximize the revenue and make it easy for your travelers. Now, the most common refrain, but we already have a travel agency. I know you do, especially the large ones, large campuses. We are not them. They do air. We don't even do air tickets. If you want to go to Seattle, I would say go to the travel agency. We are there to perform one function, and that is to be your gatekeeper for incoming hotels, for people paying with their own funds for events that you are paying for, right? It's a very limited function. And if it's anything else, we'll be the first to say, no, go to Expedia, go to American Express, go to Agencia, go to who the agency is. In fact, in some cases, with Tulane in particular, we have it right there above the hotel page. So you can see right away that we are referring people to the appropriate agency. We just do one thing. They refer visitors to us. We refer corporate expense to them. The farmer and the cowboy should be friends. That's how old I am. I remember Oklahoma. And And it's amazing how many people throw away money because they say we already have an agency. And then you say to them, well, yeah, but what are they doing? How much have you made? Well, nothing. And how much does it cost you? Well, yeah, they charge fees. And what kind of reports? Well, actually, no, that you don't get reports. Okay, you don't want the money, it's okay. So why do you benefit if we cooperate? Well, first, our revenue offsets their cost. If you want to think of it from an accounting point of view, why not? Our documented data supplements their target volume. You don't have that many people, certainly not before COVID, who are traveling outbound where there's an expense, a travel expense, right? So or even bringing people in. People go to Zooms now, just like we're doing. Board meetings and others where people would travel to the campus. It's not being done anymore. So what we do is we make it possible for you to hit the volume targets that you can use for the contracts that do benefit the expense that you do incur. So our data offsets their data, their lack of data. Our revenue offsets their cost, and our reports help you to show, supplier diversity, economic impact. Their reports do something different, reconciling the corporate credit card. So it's two-tier travel, the model that captures both business and personal travel. Cost control with purchasing, that's what's called a travel management company or a TMC, right? Revenue with admissions, athletics, alumni, the visitor center, etc. That's CTM. I know it's confusing. Institutions with both CTM and a TMC, well, nearly all of our clients. I mean, I put them down. There's no secret. We would recommend them in a minute. And it pretty much varies. We don't offset, we don't step on their feet. We do different things. We don't interface with your internal mechanisms, your internal data. Everything we do is outsourced and separate, okay? Here's an example. This is actually, I just put this in, added this yesterday. Tulane has something called Wave Weekend. And Lainey Armstrong, who's the travel manager, oversees both us and the corporate agency. And what we did was we worked out an ad that she does internally for what they call Wave Weekend. Green Wave is their thing. Wave Weekend, where you use us for the hotel and them for an airline discount. Hello, it's not that big a deal. We work together. Now, this is the part that may surprise you, because people often think that with a commission built in, the travelers pay more. And the only way I can really convey that they don't, let me see, I'm not sure you can see this. I'm getting a little thing on the bottom, but you can see it. This is an internal document that was sent to us by a Marriott Hotel, Renaissance. And it had to do with George Washington University when the school was concerned about having displayed the rates, the corporate rates, on the site we built. And when I called the sales rep of the hotel, she said, no, Larry, here, I'm sending you our internal document with our own codes. See, it says 299 George Washington University. And if you look, I circled it, it says COM, that stands for commission, no, right? So that's their internal thing saying that that particular 299 rate is a corporate rate, business travel, GWU rate, no commission. But I then said, well, look at number 2. It's the same 299. And again, I don't know if you can see the bottom red circle. On mine, it's kind of blue. It's got something, it's the stop share is interfering with it. But there it says COM, yes. Same 299, but because they call it a different name, it's called the It Pays to Book Marriott rate. I'm just reading it right off the thing, where that second arrow is over to the right of the 299. It pays to book Marriott. So if you use that rate, the 299 is commissionable, but if you use the GW rate, it's not commissionable. The trick is to have the codes correct. If the codes are not correct, you don't get the money. Simple, right? Do you need a mega enrollment? No, you don't really. Wheaton College outside of Illinois in Naperville only has 2,000 plus students, and they've done almost $1 million in sales. And this was a year or two ago, so they're well above where they were before. Is there enough business? Well, take a look at all the different things, all the events, everything from small events, weddings and vow renewals to commencement, parent weekends, homecoming, arts festivals. One of the secrets to the program, the things that surprise, is the things you take for granted, like athletics is often not part of our program. I don't know why. It's just they seem to occupy a certain area. And their focus more is on media than it is on travel, which is a mistake because there's a lot of money in tickets, but not if it's not advertised. So if you go to their site, you'll take a look, you'll see schedules, you'll see ticket prices, etc. And you might even see a sponsoring hotel for local games. Ever occurred to anybody you can do away games? We do the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis, but we also do Drexel and Temple in Philadelphia. The Army-Navy game is played in Philadelphia. All we have to do is change the codes for the hotel that is part of Drexel and Temple, and we can use those for the Army-Navy game when they travel. In other words, we can get very creative because everything we're doing is opened up because of the collaborative nature of the coalition and working together. All right. Bookings that come in one day. This may surprise you. I don't know, March 5th, I decided to take a look and see what was coming in. This was coming in from 9:48 in the morning to 1:54. It was just one after the other of bookings. I don't know why. Some days are more than others, but you can take a look. Every school almost is represented. Messiah, College of Charleston, Providence, Wheaton, Tulane, Southern New Hampshire, Drexel, pretty much this is our typical day. We get more bookings like this than anything else. 13 fields of travel data are collected. The ones you would expect, but two others that you don't have or that you wouldn't expect. The type of traveler, the nature of the event. Now, that may surprise you until you realize that one of our reports has to do with where the business is coming from. You're all parts of a very large department-based campus. It's daunting to try to figure out where business is coming from, for the hotel especially, because they've only got one salesperson. We have a report that breaks it down by the type of travel. Here's a regular spreadsheet that sorts transactions that you can filter any way you want. But here are some specialized reports. Here's one that shows, well, which hotel is doing best. At Brown, would you know whether Hampton Inn or Hilton or Homewood Suites? Strangely enough, Hampton Inn is doing the best. I don't know why. Marriott's doing pretty good. Courtyard. Graduate is the old Biltmore, so that's a little bit of a combined. But for those campuses that are curious to know which hotel is most popular, this tells you. A marketing roadmap. This takes the data. Now, what I did was I filtered this. Some of these Keybridge, this would be Georgetown. So what I did was I took a 50-page report and sorted and put it so that you can see the different categories on one page. But this will give you a breakdown of what generated the business. Was it reunions? Was it prospective students? Was it a parent-family weekend? All of those are players. And then we give you a pie chart. Isn't that fun? I love the pie chart, where you can look and in a glance see where your business is coming from. And it will give you an idea, especially for admissions. It'll give you an idea of, wow, prospective students. Maybe I want to do a little bit more now that I see that why are prospective students using it, say, more than move-in? Well, because none of the prospective students probably have been to your area before. And so they are more likely than others to be looking for you to tell them where to stay. And if you tell them that the Days Inn is good, they're going to, because frankly, if they aren't good and they mess up with one of your travelers and you tell us, they're off. You control what's on that page, not us. We simply do the heavy lifting. That's going back to protecting the brand. But this is important. If you break down your pie chart and you take a look and see which hotels are getting prospective students more than others, there might be a little introductory admissions wine tasting party that you want to have, where you get everybody together and talk about your expectations. All of a sudden, you have knowledge you didn't have before, all because of a program that costs you nothing. We do the work, you call the shots. That's it. That's the program. We build the page. That means text and pictures and amenities. It means the pricing, the terms. I mean, the whole thing. We update the page. The hotels pay. They pay $95 to set it up. So that's our cost, and we simply pass on the cost to them. And if they want to get a change of picture or make a, pet friendly to unfriendly, we do it for free. If they change their brand, like they go from Crown Plaza to Courtyard, then they pay another $95. We give your hotel page a new look. If you don't like this look, you don't have to have it. But we have found this one works very well. The new look for the hotel as well. It starts with certain categories now this is Mercer, which is one of our new campuses. They just came aboard. And this shows the picture of the hotel. It gives you descriptions of rooms. What we try to avoid are pictures from the roof that shows the skylight of the city. That doesn't help your travelers very much. So we keep it kind of standardized, and we get the pictures from the hotel, and they can update them. We include amenities. And again, you can't see this, although if you get the PowerPoint, which I'll gladly send anybody who wants it, it'll show you on the bottom that this gives you the check-in date for students that are 18 or under checking in without their parents. You may not realize this, but some hotels, most hotels, have minimum age check-in requirements, and they're not that clever about distinguishing between your people and some biker going across country. And so if they have an 18-year-old whose parents can't afford to come, or somebody gets COVID or whatever the reason is, they won't allow them to check in, and they'll call us, and we find a hotel nearby that will. And we always can, because we know the hotels well enough so that we can always get a nearby hotel to accommodate a student that's stranded. But that's something that is on our list, on our amenities, that's not on the usual hotel list. We provide rates that show from lowest to highest. That makes it very simple for people, especially when they're coming late and the hotels are already booked. We give them a price breakdown, so if there's a difference in price between Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, they can take a look and see, oh, I see the problem is Friday. Maybe we can just go Wednesday, Thursday, and that'll be within our budget. There's no service fees because we don't charge any. Taxes are on top, $33. It's extra, not part of the program. To save time, we have a one-click option where somebody who's running late can put in their one click right above the logos there. It says to see rates for all hotels, click here, and they'll get the rates from lowest to highest of the hotels that still have availability. That's what it looks like. And that helps. I mean, an amazing number of people have used that service. A confirmation shows the campus as source. You may not think this is a big deal, but when I send you your first booking, you're going to send it around because it's very cool. Because you've never seen something like that before. And it doesn't create liability. That's done by us, but it does establish ownership for purposes of revenue. It gives you data that you can use for supplier diversity or economic impact or special reports to the chamber that you're trying to convey the importance that you have to the community. You have out-of-state hotel discounts. How much more can we give you folks for free? Colleague reciprocity is what we call it. By that we mean if you have staff and faculty going to, say, New Orleans, they can use the Tulane rates. If you have staff and faculty going to California, they can use Santa Clara. That is our idea. And we have 100 schools that you can draw from. And this is a map. There's other ways that you can do it as well. We have another way of separating campuses. But if you click on the balloon, it'll take you right to the campus and right to the the hotel. So the bottom line is no fees, no price markup, revenue, free customer service. We go the extra mile. Praise from visitors. If you want something that shows what people think of us, we've got 3 different categories: friends and family, campuses, and hotels. And they pay for the program. My favorite is the University of Hartford, because even though Dennis isn't there anymore, he was one of the original people that came to one of our first meetings 10 years ago. And I loved his line, and he said, I can say the meeting was a success. Okay, thanks, Dennis. The hotels were eager to sign up. Most said this should have happened a long time ago. Of course it should have. They know. It's just that, what if, and we're almost done. What if we don't want the money? Now, you may laugh, but there are some hotels, some schools, where the revenue is less important than the selection of the hotels and having the hotels be the ones you specifically want. If that's the case, then you tell us and we make it according. This is your program. This is your program. You just have to be able to tell us what matters more. Is it revenue? Is it brand? Is it, you may have only 3. Well, there's one, when we did Ashland University in Ohio, I remember, I can't remember his name. He's now with NACAS. His first comment was, I want to get as many hotels as possible. Well, Ashland only has 1 hotel. It's only 1 hotel, and it's a Hampton Inn. Well, a Hampton Inn is a very good, it's in just the right, what are the Goldilocks thing. It's not too high, not too low. It's just the right, it's not the Four Seasons, and it's not, the Knightsbridge Inn or something. And so you have a lot of people who only want to stay at the Hampton Inn. Well, it's very hard to strike any kind of a bargain where they're going to pay for fare to be in it, where they're the only hotel that you can book for 50 miles. And in this particular case, they contributed to the school, so we put them on for free. I mean, this is not an issue. It's your program, and sometimes circumstances are what they are. Now, is that the same with Tulane? No. With Tulane, they've done almost 6 million in sales through this one little site that we administer. And people are fighting just to be in the top 5 rows. There's 10 rows of hotels, and we've got 5 across, so that they don't have to go down even further than or is it maybe 9 rows of hotels. So what we've got is a quid pro quo. That's what we're offering. That's our concept. That's our model. Hotels get the sales they want in return for you getting all the things that you really need. And all you have to do is give the hotels the access they simply cannot get without you. That's it. Thank you for considering. Are there other programs that we can build on this program? Yes. One of the reasons that I am thrilled to be working with Lion is because this is a collaborative program. Like, as an example, in Oregon, there's Private College Week, which opens up the door to shared services and ground arrangements and collaborative hotel things. At Georgia Tech, I mentioned that with Oglethorpe and with Spelman. Georgia Tech put together a welcome to Atlanta program that has Starbucks discounts, with the idea being that hotels in the program know who is checking in and when and where, and they, along with their room key, now give them a welcome to Atlanta that has a Starbucks discount and a bookstore discount. There is no reason why this can't be expanded so that all schools can't include their preferred vendors to be a part of it. Right now, we do it for free. There's revenue streams in all of it. There's no reason why we can't do ground, meaning transfers from the airport or car rentals or bus charters. All of it has got potential commission. But we're starting off with what we need to get going, which is hotels. That's the easiest because, number one, you already use them. Number two, the visitors need them. And number three, the only thing that's missing is the technology to bring together buyer and seller and make you the beneficiary. So that's why we start with hotels, but really the door is open. So all we need is you telling us, yeah, it's interesting. All right. That's number two, a phone call so we can sit and talk about how you're promoting the site, because I don't want to waste your time or your money. If you are going to put hotels under parking, then I have to warn you of the consequences, which you're not going to make any money. I'm the bad guy. That's my job, and I'll do it. I hate it, but I do it, right? A contract, we have a standard contract to show there are no surprises. And you'll see it. The lawyer may look at you and say, why is sending this? There's no cost. And what are we missing? And the answer is, well, it's an unusual program. Call Lion. You know, he'll tell you. And then a W-9, so we know where to send the money, which we will do every quarter. And that's our story. Is that a lot to throw at you in half an hour?
I told you all that Larry knows more about travel than I'll ever know, and he's forgotten more than I'll ever know.
It's a great industry, and it's perfect for the university market because so much of it is under the radar. People don't think of it. I mean, that's the opening. It makes sense when you look at hotels. Sure, it's under travel. Go to purchasing. Well, purchasing is great to show you, okay, we've looked at Larry's contract. We've done our due diligence. The guy's for real, and we'll get him if it turns out that he's got a surprise. Well, there won't be. But they are not that good in terms of expanding the program and reaching out to the other parts of the campus. Sorry, purchasing. That's my experience. And I love purchasing. 80% of our schools are with purchasing departments. But often what they do is they keep that one link, and they don't realize that they've got to reach out to the other different departments if they want to maximize the revenue. Because there'll be plenty of checks that are under $100. And it's not because of the size of the school. One in Atlanta that may surprise you is almost always because I can't get the right person. And one of these days, if somebody it starts with E and ends in Y, if somebody is part of Lisa's group, then maybe I can get them to make some money. But Georgia Tech in 1 year will make more than Emory in like 6. Yeah, I can't. And it's because I started with purchasing. I actually set up the travel department with somebody named Rex Hardaway, who you may know or remember, those of you who just retired last year. And then I can't get them to go beyond purchasing. Well, parents don't use logins.
Larry, it's obvious that this program is only limited to the creativity of each campus.
Yeah.
Before we go, I want to make sure that there are no questions. If anybody has a question, now's a really good time to ask it. There's no dumb or stupid questions. Believe me, I've asked some really strange ones along the way. So please ask anything that is not clear or that you need more information on.
And if there's some, I'm sorry, if there's
some slides out to you,
go ahead.
And the recording will be available to you. So
right.
That will be.
Tom, anything from you?
No, I think you covered it.
Okay.
I also want to make sure that everybody thinks about, and I said creativity on each campus. Everybody thinks about, when I was VP of Finance at a couple of colleges, my admissions department would have given their eye teeth to have information about students and families that were coming to campus before they got there. Now they may know they're coming. They don't know what hotel they're staying at.
Exactly.
Just think if your admissions department can have a welcome basket waiting for them as they check into the hotel. Think of the perception that gives your college and gives your admissions department. There are all kinds of creative ways that you can use that data, but that's just one example. As you can tell, I'm really excited about this program because I think our schools can really maximize it and make good use of it.
One of the things that was interesting when I spoke to Brent and asked him about Oregon, because they have the private college week, and I noticed that 6 of the hotels were in Portland in Oregon. And he said, well, I'd rather do a welcome that covers the Willamette Valley as opposed to one particular city, because then it includes Salem and Eugene and everybody. Great. I mean, this is as interesting as you want to make it. I mean, there's no rules other than the ones you want to create. So we've got our first Willamette Valley welcome program set.
That's great. Well, in interest of time, I'll ask one more time if there are any questions. And seeing none, then I'll just thank everyone for attending today, and thank you, Larry, for making the presentation.
Thank you.
Please contact Larry. His information is here. We sent it out in the chat. Contact Larry, contact me, contact Anita. Let's get everybody started on this program. Thank you for your attendance, and everybody have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much, Lion. Thanks, Tom.